All right, good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Welcome to This Week in Pop Culture, the show in which we give you the goings on in the past said week in the world of pop culture, whether we're talking about local news, daily news, film and TV news, tech news, sports news, and the like. We try to bring you up to speed so that way you are not left in the wind. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And as always, I'm not going to be alone in talking about the past said week when it comes to our pop culture topics. So without further ado, I want to welcome my co-host, Mr. Spillman Trueheart, a.k.a. Spills. What's going on, sir?
Happy snow day, everybody. I hope everybody's out there being warm if you're on the East Coast. Maybe if you're in California, you're like, what snow, Spill? What are you talking about? So, if you're on the East Coast enjoying the snow day like we are, have a happy snow day.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So, Spills, we had quite a bit that happened this past week, as I just mentioned, and top, of course, the topic that we'll be talking about, towards the end of the show. We had the announcement of the production wrap on season 3 of Rings of Power, but we also had an update regarding a small little agreement that we talked about last week regarding an acquisition of Warner Brothers and the updates regarding that. So, of course, there's a bunch to dive into. So, without further ado, Spills, shall we dive in?
Yeah, let's get it.
All right, perfect, perfect. So, with that, I'll just mention real quick before we dive into our first story, just know that following the airing of this episode, timestamps will be provided for you to skip forward or back to your heart's content. But with that, we'll begin this week's show talking about sports. So, beginning with our sports cooler talk. Let me bring that up for you all now. And beginning first on the gridiron with the local team, or say with our local team, the Washington Commanders, who, following their 31-0 loss, or 31-0 loss on Sunday to the Minnesota Vikings, eliminated themselves from playoff contention. Meanwhile, on the hardwood, the Thunder continued their dominance in the NBA after Wednesday's win against the Suns in the NBA quarter finals, going 24-1 following that win, which ties the record for the best start to a season, tying that of the 2015 and 2016 Golden State Warriors team. And we do have an update regarding that. They have actually lost their second game as well, losing to the Spurs just last night in the semifinals of the NBA Cup. So with that, Spills, and talking about these two sports stories, I will punt it to you. What are your thoughts?
As a Commanders fan and season ticket holder, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that we
Okay,
be at the
excuse me,
games.
excuse me.
We
Yes,
be at the
yes, yes.
games, you may see me any given Sunday. Um, the Commanders season they've been out of the playoffs for months. I don't think that, you know, technically they're out of the playoffs now, finally, but they've been out of the playoffs for months. I think when Jaden Daniels first got hurt with his knee, I think they should have shut down the season for him to try to limit some of the injuries, like the dislocated elbow that he got, which was a crazy injury. Um, it's a tale as old as time with the Commanders that they signed a bunch of old guys to contracts they probably didn't deserve, to try to win a game because those old guys wanted their kids to go to good private schools in the DMV area. So I'm not surprised that the Commanders didn't make it this year. It's kind of sad that they didn't, but we got to move forward. Um, in the exact opposite situation, the Thunder are phenomenal. Sure, they lost in the
Semifinals.
semifinals of the NBA Cup. I know Brandon knows that the NBA Cup is something that people care about so much. I believe that when the Lakers won their first NBA Cup, everybody was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter." Now we're covering it, so I'm
Oh
not gonna
man.
I'm not gonna hold no grudges or nothing, but you know,
Oh, I love the callback, sir. I love the callback. But getting into the Commanders to start I'm not a Commanders fan, but I'm always happy to see if they are doing well. And I mean, we know this, just when it comes to sports in general. When you have like a breakout season, the way that Jaden did, you're going to have a target on your back, in the season that follows, and it really becomes a test of, okay, was that a fluke season, or was that a season that's indicative of your success going forward? And so, in speaking with other friends and family that are diehard Commanders fans like yourself, Spills, it's happened time and time again where we have had very capable quarterbacks. And I mean, even outside of Jaden, I can think, obviously, people know where I'm going with this, with RG3, where we need to be able to properly protect our quarterback. And if we don't have the necessary pieces to do so, then history is going to continue to repeat itself. I don't know how you feel about that. Maybe you disagree with me, but I feel like while we do a okay job when it comes to getting quarterbacks recently, we need to do a better job of scouting for the pieces that we need on that line to protect that said quarterback. It doesn't matter how talented your quarterback is. If they're not provided with protection, then you're going to get instances of what we had this season with Daniels and the injuries that he had. Mind you, as I said, he already had a target on his back anyway because of the breakout season that he had last year. Now, when we're talking about the Thunder, just as you said, they've been having an incredible season. I'll say this: I'm actually happy that they actually lost their second game finally. And the reason being is, I feel oftentimes when you are going, and I talked about this last week, but I'll kind of briefly recap it. Is I don't. I would hate for the focus to be on the regular season versus going after an additional, going after history and getting a second championship. A lot of times when you are getting caught up
Did you just say that the regular season doesn't matter and you should win the championship no matter how many games you won during the regular season?
I like what you did there.
I was
I
just
like
saying.
what you did there.
I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. I'm listening through headphones, AirPods.
I mean, I'll say
You know.
this: you need to have a good a good turnout in the regular season in order to even get to the postseason. I mean, I feel like the what we're talking about with the Commanders is a testament to that. But I'm saying, when there's levels to this, and we're talking about a team that's as talented as the Thunder, I don't think that there's really a concern about the regular season than it is about being able to close the deal with another championship. When you're a team that's, you're right on the bubble there, then yeah, like I feel like you still need to establish those habits in the regular season in order to have success in the postseason. And the way that you're doing that is by building that momentum of the wins that you're securing during that season. So don't try to get it twisted there, Mr. Spills, that that I'm not saying that the regular season isn't important. It is. But when we're talking about the levels of it, and we're talking about those elite teams where we know they're going to be right there anyway, then yeah, like I'm not going to say that the season is not important, but I'm also going to say that you don't want to put all your energy into trying to continue this continue that streak that you have, when the purpose of your entire season is to go after another title versus something that's happening in the regular season, which we know you're going to be successful at anyway. So
Right.
that's what I mean. So I feel like now that they kind of have that hurdle past them, past that's past them by finally losing a game. Now they can continue on with the season and not feel the pressure of trying to continue that momentum of having that single loss. And it'll be interesting to see going forward if they will surpass the overall regular season, because that is an incredible, regular season record that the Warriors secured. But I don't know. For me, if it meant that it came at the sacrifice of getting a title and not being able to close the deal, I would have been okay with them not not getting that regular season record. That's just me.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I would
I'm
have taken the
sure
title.
you would not. That title is where LeBron made his GOAT argument. I feel like that's where he made his GOAT argument to me. It's like, hey man, they had the best team in league history, and they was up 3-1 on them, and he dug down deep and pulled out that victory. I just,
Hey, like I said, no slight against Braun. I talk about this all the time. He'll always be my number two. He is an all-time great. I have no, denying that or trying to dispute that. It's just that he's my number two all time. And there's nothing wrong with that. With all the years of basketball since the sport has been created, to say that he is number two for me. But what about you guys out there? What are your thoughts for those hardcore Commanders fans out there? Let me know your thoughts of the Commanders not being in playoff contention. I know many people at the top of the season, they were so gung ho about this team and saying, "Oh man, we're going to the Super Bowl this year," and look where y'all are at. Same thing, when we're talking about the Thunder, do you feel like the Thunder will continue on these, streaks throughout the season of securing the number of wins? I feel that way based on the number of weapons that they have, but maybe folks out there feel differently. Maybe we have some haters out there when it comes to the Thunder that don't feel like they're overrated. You can let us know down below in the comments. But with that, we're going to switch gears to talking about some movie trailers that went down, or I should say, that were dropped this past said week. And we're going to start first on Thursday as the next installment or cinematic installment of the rebooted DC Universe dropped in the form of a teaser trailer for the highly anticipated Supergirl, starring House of the Dragon alum Mil Alcock in the title role. The film is set to land on June 26th. Meanwhile, during the Game Awards on Friday, fans were treated to a look at the newest adaptation of the iconic fighting video game Street Fighter, which features an all-star cast that includes the likes of Andrew Koji, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Orville Peck, and David Desmalchin, just to name a few. The film is set to hit next year. So, Spills, your feelings with these two films coming in 2026?
let's start with Street Fighter. Obviously, the guy of the hour right now is Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. He's a really interesting guy. Obviously, he's got the number one documentary in America. Uh, you
Do
know,
you gonna get here? But go ahead. Yes.
we're not gonna really get into the subject matter of that documentary, but you've seen it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I feel like 50 is the best casting of Balrog in a long time. I think they got a lot of the castings correct. But I wonder where this movie's gonna go. It looks cool, but it just kind of just seems like it's a really good cosplay right now. I don't know if it's going to be a really good movie. Street Fighter's always had trouble with translating to the movie. The only one that anyone that I know really liked was the anime movie back in the day.
Oh yeah, that
Um,
one's tough. That animated
the
one is
anime
tough.
movie was cool. Like when Guy was driving through
Yeah.
doing the
Oh no,
shifting and
That
stuff.
Vega Chung Li fight. I'm just saying, like
Yeah.
you just have a lot of iconic moments from. You're right, from that animated film. Whether we're talking about that Kung what is it, Chung Li Vega fight, the Fei Long Ryu
Hmm.
fight,
Yeah.
the Ken Ryu and M Bison. Man, there are a lot of them in there.
Yeah. So that will be interesting. I can't wait to see what they do. With the actual Street Fighter. It's just a tweet teaser. It's getting us ready. I feel like this is the kind of teasers we want to see in these cold weather things to really get us hyped for the summer.
Yeah.
The Supergirl movie looks really cool. I liked her character in the Superman movie. That was pretty fun. Um, I liked her persona. I liked how she kind of just left her dog at her cousin's house and he had to take care of her. That seems like very Supergirl energy from if you've read the verse. I'm interested in it. I don't know how I feel about. possible villains. Maybe Luther will come in with a cloning system like the 90s. I don't know which Supergirl we're going to get, but I'm pretty interested to see what they do with the Supergirl movie, and I'll probably be seeing it in theaters. How about you, Brent?
So I'll start first with the Supergirl movie, and based on what we've gotten so far when it comes to this rebooted DC universe, I've enjoyed, a lot of it. I've had some, minor issues with some of it. I know I remember with like initially with the Superman film, and I know a lot of people are going to say, "What do you mean about the Superman film? The Superman film was awesome. It was great. It was good." But I will say at the top of the movie, I guess in terms of how quickly they they just kind of dived into the nature uh, um, of the state of that universe and how we have metahumans and all of that. While I do like the fact that you are getting a pass a lot of exposition. I just felt like the exposition dived into it way too quickly. While I agree that it's not necessary to get to spoon feed us every single thing and to drag along the origins of a lot of these characters and to have some of these characters, I love that some of these characters are already kind of in the early stages of their careers, and we don't need to see them, necessarily make that transition into getting their powers or becoming these characters. For in many senses with this universe, a lot of them are they already are those characters. It's just that they're just at the start of their careers. I like that element. It's just that the approach and what we had in those initial moments of the Superman film, it has felt like it sped along, explaining that with the text that we had across the screen way too quickly. And I feel like there was a way that it could have been done visually where you still could have pulled that off. Now, when it comes to the Supergirl film, I feel like when we're talking about Supergirl, you're kind of playing with house money because it's already been established that the Superman movie has been accepted and been beloved and enjoyed by many folks. So with the Supergirl film, now I don't feel like there's as much pressure to have it work immediately or to have it how can I explain this, that to you're provided the freedom to go in a different direction with this character and not necessarily have it be a cookie cutter a remix of the Superman movie. One thing I will say though that is interesting is that, and I don't know how people are going to fly with this. There, and you can disagree with me too. I don't know if you picked up on this, Spills, is that it very much has some Guardians of the Galaxy type of energy when we're talking about what we're provided in this film, where a lot of things are happening off world and happening off of Earth, and so I'll be curious to see how that kind of synergy or that kind of aesthetic will be accepted when it comes to this film. As I said, they've provided themselves a little bit of flexibility and freedom in trying to do something different with the Supergirl character. But at least cinematically, I will be curious to see how that is received. In the past, people love the Guardians of the Galaxy, but now that we're talking about the DC universe, while you do have some carryover with Marvel fans that are going to see a lot of these DC movies, will are there folks that are strictly DC folks that are not going to like? Why are you trying to add put this type of synergy in our Supergirl film? So I'll be interested to see what comes of that. Now, and talking about what you were saying with the Street Fighter film, Street Fighter, let's be very honest, is a really over the top, really goofy fighting game. And we love it for that. And there have been two opportunities to try to make it somewhat realistic and make it somewhat serious. And I feel like when there have been attempts to try to make both of those two attempts to make the source and material serious when it's being adapted for film, it has unintentionally been silly when they've tried to be too serious. So if that has not worked, the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing and what expecting a different result. So why not embrace the over top component of it? Why not embrace the silliness of it and really make it almost like a fever dream of craziness with what you're doing? Whether it's embracing the crazy hairstyles of a lot of the characters, whether it's embracing a lot of the crazy over the top, special moves that a lot of these characters are able to pull off. I say you tried it twice before, tried to go the serious route, didn't work. Third time's a charm. Let's try to embrace the silly and actually embrace it for what it is. And I feel like you might get a little bit more success, but maybe you feel differently.
I think that they have people who are trained in martial arts so that they can do some of the moves from the game. A lot of the moves from the game are super moves, and those are going to look great. Like, super moves always look silly on screen. Like, they look cool in the game, but when you're like, yeah, and then a fireball comes out your hand,
Fireball.
it always looks
Or
weird
the
and fake.
flaming, the Ken's like
Yeah, or
flaming
your hand
uppercut.
is on
Man, I hope
fire.
they
It's
do
like
that.
that.
I hope
That
they
doesn't
do
look
that.
right. Yeah, so maybe they'll use some of the technology that we've seen recently in the One Piece anime live action show and the Fantastic Four for characters like Dulcime. I wonder how they're going to make Blanca have his electrical powers.
Yeah.
The 100 hand slap will be interesting with E Honda. So
And
interested to see.
I was gonna say there could be a way that they could explain it, because like one thing that I will give the recent, because I assume you've seen the updated Mortal Kombat film, correct? Like the
Yes.
so like one thing that they did in that film that I appreciated, that I kind of gives you a way to kind of explain them being able to do some of the crazy things, is them saying that because of their chosen fighters, that because of them being these chosen fighters for their realm, they are provided with these powers to be able to defend themselves.
Hmm.
Like when they take on that moniker, whatever that emblem or that tattoo that they are christened with, in doing so, what comes with that is that they are able to do these incredible things. So when we're talking about that, like maybe they'll have some type of explainer, maybe something happened way, way in the past that the descendants now are still able to do a lot of these crazy moves. They may try to go that route. I know, like I said, when it comes to Mortal Kombat, they were at least able to provide an explainer, and whether you accept it or not, at least they made the effort to try to say, okay, these people can't just do this. There's a reason as to why they're human beings that are just regular human beings, and why these characters, and I'm sorry, spoiler alert if you guys haven't seen it, but I feel like it's not that big of a deal. Like there is something explainer that they have to determine why they're able to do some of these special moves. So but yeah, but I'm looking forward to both films. I'm assuming you are too. I plan on being there. Opening weekend. Guys can let us know
Gotta
in the
support
comments.
50, man. Gotta support 50. The one of the greatest trolls of all time. I think that,
Well,
in 2003 when he was trolling Ja Rule, we thought that was just because he didn't like Ja Rule. No, no, he lives for the troll. He's one of the expert trolls ever.
indeed, indeed, indeed. So, what about you guys out there? Are you guys excited about the two trailers, said trailers that we discussed just now with Supergirl and Street Fighter? What were your favorite moments? What are some things that you guys are looking forward to? Guys can let us know down below in the comments. We're gonna switch gears out of our trailer talk and get into some somber news, as we did have a passing this past said week, as actor Peter Greene, known for his villainous roles in The Mask and Pulp Fiction, just to name a few, was revealed by the New York Post via his manager to have passed in his New York apartment on Friday. According to cops, no foul play was suspected. However, the actor, who via his rep was set to begin production next month with Mickey Rourke in the indie film called Mascots, was 60 years old. So, Spills, your thoughts on the actor's passing?
Um, shout outs to Peter Greene's family. Our condolences and our love to you. We know how big of an actor he was. Some of my favorite movies from the 90s, The Usual Suspects, The Mask, Pulp
Yeah,
Fiction.
yeah,
He's all over the map. Obviously, Mr. Greene had had some struggles with substance abuse, so this may be what has taken his life at such a young age of 60. But his career was pretty good. He was right there with some of the leading actors ever. I think his troubled life derailed some of that, but he was in training day, ladies and gentlemen. Like I just, this is sad that he's passed on, but I think a great career and one of the great villains from the 90s that we were able to witness.
yeah. And I mean, I second everything that that you said. Is uh, he's had an incredible career in terms of filmmakers that he has had an opportunity to work with, and the co-stars that he's been opposite of. In terms of those iconic faces, as you just mentioned, when it comes to the 90s, when it comes to villains, a lot of times when we had those villains, he was the person that you called to take on those antagonistic roles, and he was great at a lot of those antagonistic roles. I know a lot of times when I've had actors on here reflecting on a lot of films, because every once in a blue moon on this show, we'll have anniversary shows, which I'm sure a lot of you have had an opportunity to check out when we're talking about 20th anniversaries, 30th anniversaries, and a lot of actors reflecting on roles that they have played in a lot of these films. And sometimes they are protagonist roles, sometimes they are antagonist roles. And it's interesting to kind of get their thoughts on why sometimes when it comes to their body of work, they have played a lot of characters that are kind of the same. And the reason being is that maybe they've played the character so well that in terms of casting directors out there, they have that persona of what that actor has portrayed so deeply ingrained in their head that they will oftentimes already have them, unfortunately, typecast as the bad guy, or typecast as the hero. And a lot of times it's up to the actor themselves to provide some nuance there, even if they are playing in essence a similar role. They kind of have to come up, they come across a catch 22, because yeah, it may be somewhat like another character, but hey, it's another acting job. Hey, it's still getting work. I'm still making a living. So,
Half a loaf beats no loaf every single time, ladies and gentlemen.
right, exactly. So a lot of times they're kind of, placed with that predicament of, okay, should I take this role because it's kind of similar to what I've done before, or should I not take it and not, be able to make a living and get paid. So when we're talking about these types of roles, again, a testament to Mr. Greene, the late, Peter Greene, of course, in being able to have a lot of these villainous characters. But when we're talking about these villainous characters, they those characters all have their own type of synergy. When we're talking about the character that he portrayed in Pulp Fiction, leaps and bounds different from what we had in The Mask. I mean, far darker than. And don't get me
Far
wrong.
darker.
People talk about The Mask, and I know a lot of people think of The Mask as a family film. When you really look back at The Mask,
That
that
was supposed to be a
film,
horror movie. They just said
yeah,
we
that film
got
is
Jim
kind of dark.
Carrey.
That film is kind of
Like
dark.
Jim
And
Carrey was
some of
like
the stuff,
Michael Jordan in '84. They was like, no, we just gonna put him in.
But I'm like, some of the violence in that
Oh,
film, I'm like, wow, this is a
horrific.
kids movie. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
actually pretty dark. But that's also saying something, because when you look at his character that he portrayed in Pulp Fiction, far darker than his gangster role that he had in The Mask. So again, condolences, as you said, Spills, to his family and friends, passing at 60, as I mentioned, passing on Friday at the age of 60. So um, moving on to the big screen in our film and TV talk. We had news of some OGs returning to a well-known franchise, and you guys are probably wondering which one I am uh, talking about, and that's none other than the Hunger Games. So on Wednesday, as the Hollywood Reporter was able to confirm that franchise stars Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson are set to return to the very franchise that made them stars in the prequel, The Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping. Though no specific details have been revealed, according to the article in the Hollywood Reporter, the two actors will likely appear in a flash forward capacity. The prequel, as it stands, will arrive in November of next year. Spills, your thoughts on two OGs returning to the franchise that made them stars?
Um, I hold on, put me on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. I offer
Yes.
myself as tribute, ladies and gentlemen. Katniss Everdeen has returned, and we are ready to see her do her thing. Peta has returned as well. I like what he's been doing with I Love LA. I don't know if you're watching I Love LA on HBO.
I have not, no.
It's a great Sunday evening show to watch with your lady. Me and Teresa, we love to watch that. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited to see the OGs return to the Hunger Games. It's not the same without them. Um, Jennifer Lawrence, I feel like that was the perfect vehicle to launch her career. Um, really take it to the next level. And then I forget the guy's name for that plays
Josh
Peter, but
Hutcherson.
Josh Hutcherson, he's great too. He's really good in that show, I Love LA. He really has depth on his acting, so I'm really excited for it. I don't know if you were a big fan of the Hunger Games and Katniss Everdeen, but I,
I watched the Hunger Games. I mean, I'm not as diehard as a lot of folks are, but I did have an opportunity to see the films. I'm a casual fan, put it that way.
you're casual. Okay, okay.
Casual. I don't know. I didn't read the books. Like, I don't know every single like Easter egg detail about like all the characters and who this person is. I was able to kind of go with it as the films, introduce those elements in the franchise.
Yeah, and also, it's kind of poignant. We seem to be heading to a dystopian future that we were afraid of heading to in the past. So, we're interested to see what happens with this new spat of movies that they're doing for the Hunger Games.
For sure, for sure, for sure. And I mean, as I said, I was a casual fan when it came to this franchise, but it's always cool to be able to have OGs, original characters from the beginning of the franchise to return to that said franchise. A lot of times, well, I wouldn't say a lot of times, but on occasion, when it comes to certain franchises, which is a bummer, is sometimes the folks who became stars in certain franchises kind of look down on the franchise when there's an opportunity to come back. Like, no, I'm not going back to that. And it's great
Hmm.
to see that you have actors who, despite what they had, the trajectory of where they have gone beyond with this franchise. They've gone on to do other things beyond this franchise. They are open and receptive to coming back to those said franchises. However, I will say the cynical side of me, Spills, also believes that the reason why we are also seeing this is because when it comes to these actors, you just mentioned Josh and what he's been doing, but when it comes to Jennifer, like there haven't really been a lot of major hits that have been hidden as of recently. So maybe this is uh, a a chance to be able to kind of restart things and reset that momentum of where things are. She's a terrific actress. It's just that sometimes, as many actors will be able to attest to you, there are times where you just have peaks and valleys. There are times where things are just really hitting and everything is really rocking and rolling. And then there are times where with certain films, they just don't hit the way that you anticipate they will. And so you kind of have to go back to the drawing board and figure out a way to recalibrate things of where your career is headed. And I feel like this is maybe kind of like a reset for her to get back into a franchise that people will love her in, and then past this, being able to kind of recalibrate things with some films that follow. So we'll see. I'll be curious to see what it looks like. As they said, it looks like it probably will be in a flash forward capacity, but who knows? Anything is possible these days with the way technology is and what they're able to do in terms of aging characters or de-aging characters or what have you. So we'll see. But what about you guys out there? For those of you that are fans of the Hunger Games, let us know down below. How do you feel about two of the OGs returning back to the franchise? You can let us know down below in the comments. So at this time, we are going to get into our main topic, which you see up above. And this is in our stream and chill talk. Not only talking about the Rings of Power Season 3, announcing the wrap up of its production, but also regarding the current state of the agreement regarding the acquisition or the Netflix acquiring of Warner Brothers. So we're going to start first. Let's see. We're going to start first with talk of season 3 of Rings of Power. So if you give me a moment, I want to be able to share the video that they provided for fans that gives us a look at the upcoming franchise. And this was actually released on Wednesday. So give me one moment. And let's see if you guys are able to hear it.
Hello, I'm Jamie Campbell Bower. We are at the studios.
Open the great doors to season 3.
It's been wonderful to be back in this world of Middle Earth.
I count myself incredibly lucky to be a part of something like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a picture wrap.
Don't snap this. We've broken the rules.
All right. So I don't know. Were you able to hear that, Spills?
Oh, yes, we can hear it
Okay,
incredibly
cool.
well. Good job with that audio and pulling that for us, Brandon.
So with that, before we dive into our thoughts, I wanted to now also get into the details that we have, of course, regarding the current state of this agreement that Netflix had with Warner Brothers in acquiring them. If you recall, we were just talking about this news just last week, but just to recap things for you guys, let me get into that as well. Give me one moment. We had some things freeze here just for a moment. Apologies. Let's see here. 1 second, guys. Apologies. But yes, as I said, we did have some news this past week regarding an update there. If you recall on last week's show, we shared that the streamer had announced reaching an agreement, the streamer being Netflix, reaching an agreement to acquire the studio Warner Brothers for $82.7 billion last Friday being 12 or December 5th. However, a new wrinkle would occur on Monday as Paramount Skydance announced that it had commenced an all-cash tender offer to acquire all of the outstanding shares of Warner Brothers Discovery for $30 per share, an all-cash offer which, according to Paramount, equates to an enterprise value of $108.4 billion, including some assumption of debt, with an equity value of $77.9 billion. In contrast, the Netflix proposal entails a volatile and complex structure valued at $27.75 a share and a mix of cash, 23.5 and $23.25 and a stock of $4.50, subject to collar and the future performance of Netflix, equating to the enterprise value, which I just mentioned earlier, of $82.7 billion, excluding the TV biz per Paramount. So just hours after the announcement of this takeover by Paramount, Netflix co-CEOs, Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters, who you see here, two gentlemen here that are, opposite of Mr. Ellison, who represents Paramount, addressed the matter at the beginning of a session at the UBS conference in New York on Monday afternoon, stating the following: "Today's move was entirely expected. We have a deal done, and we are really happy with the deal for shareholders, for consumers. It's a great way to create and protect jobs in the entertainment industry. We are super confident that we are going to get it across." Additionally, in their conversation with UBS analyst John Hodulik, Sarandos and Peters emphasized that they do not intend to shut down parts of the company that, that company, of course, being Warner Brothers Discovery, and will operate the studios and HBO as they are currently. In fact, Sarandos reaffirmed that Netflix will be committed to theatrical releases. In contrast, the pair argued that unlike Paramount, they are not planning to consolidate studios and pointed out the billions in efficiencies that Paramount is pursuing. They framed the deal as saving jobs, not cutting jobs, and that leadership at the division level at Warner Brothers Discovery would be tapped to keep doing their jobs. So Spills, two, completely diverse, things or disparate things when we're talking about the wrap up of season 3 for the Rings of Power, but also the continuing drama that we have here between Paramount and Netflix, and being able to acquire Warner Brothers. It looks like, based on what has been explained, that Netflix has the edge, but anything can happen because, as we mentioned on our show last week, the deal does not close until third quarter of next year. So, thoughts?
I think that this is a perfectly reasonable thing to happen. I wish that Warner Brothers could just stay owned by Warner Brothers. I think that that would actually be the best thing, is that these people are not actually in each other's bids with each other and making all these deals where, instead of the streaming platform owning Netflix, the only other streaming platform that's owned wholesale essentially would own them. And while Paramount isn't as ubiquitous, it's always a question when you go to somebody's house, like, "You have Paramount Plus?" It's like, wow, I didn't know you went so deep in your streaming services. But I would think that the merger between Paramount and Warner Brothers would also be an antitrust monopoly kind of thing. I think that what we are missing here is that Warner Brothers needs to stay its own company, and if they fail at something, they just need to fail at certain things so that they can innovate. Being able to buy your competition is like the stuff of drug movies. Like, that's what they do in drug movies. Like, they'd be like, "I'm going to buy out Fat Tony, and then I'm going to own the whole town." No one likes it when that happens. Like, we shouldn't allow people to hold all the power. I just It's just one of those things. I
No,
think it's
absolutely.
okay, but we'll see.
Yeah. And what about? I believe that we've had the discussion. You've started Rings of Power, but you haven't finished it, or you have finished it.
I have not finished it, but um, I
Are you still
will.
in season one? Or are you are you in season two?
I think I'm in season one still, so I'll have to
Okay.
catch up. I'll have to catch
Okay.
up.
Okay. I mean, a lot has gone down. So I won't spoil it for you. As I mentioned, I've been really impressed with and I mean, obviously, it's understandable because it's Amazon money, but I've been really impressed with the production values of them being able to recapture that like mythical world that
hmm
we've seen cinematically, and I wasn't sure if they would be able to get that across on television, and I feel
hmm
like they've been able to accomplish that and then some. So I've been really impressed with what they've been able to do in terms of the production values. But again, like I said, Amazon money. Why am I not surprised that they would have resources to be able to pull that off? Uh,
hmm
the the with it being a prequel, and I've always had this issue with prequels. Some things just have to happen. There are some elements where, while they try to make it as suspenseful as possible, for plot reasons, certain things have to happen. Certain characters have to survive. Like certain events have to happen. But with that, there are other characters that are surrounding a lot of these main characters that you are not limited with what they're capable of doing or what they can do. So I will say that there is enough there where it provides some suspense for those characters that they surround a lot of our, I would say, perennial characters with, because we were seeing some of these characters very early in their lives or earlier in their lives, and especially if these characters are very long lived, then it is also fascinating. While it can be a little frustrating that you have characters that are protected for plot reasons, it is cool to be able to get some insight as to why certain decisions were made. And I feel in that regard, why certain characters made certain decisions that had ripples down the line later on in the Lord of the Rings lore and story. That has been cool to be able to witness, even though you still have that element of characters that are protected because of plot. So um, looking forward to talking with you further about how you feel about it. As you catch up on where they are. But when we're talking about the Warner Brothers situation, there I don't know how I feel about it, because I feel like there's a issue on both ends. Like there's a issue when we're talking about Netflix taking over Warner Brothers, where, just as you mentioned, in terms of being a monopoly and having that much influence over the entertainment industry, Warner Brothers is massive in and of itself as an entity, but to have arguably your largest streamer taking over that said studio, that provides a lot of unease, because we're talking about what does that look like with the the theatrical windows. And we talked about this, so some of this is remixed, but the theatrical windows of some projects, even though they assure that they're not going to really tamper with that, if you have control over, yes, you can say that on paper, but you could always down the line say, oh well, we've discovered that because of X, Y, and Z and the viewing habits of the public, that we may need to change that opinion that we initially had provided to our audiences, and so now we're going to let's see, what's the word that they would maybe use. We're going to actually test or experiment with some new strategies. That's just the word that is always used. We're going to test some
We're
new
going to
strategies.
synergize our offerings.
So While they keep assuring fans, audiences that things will remain the same, they're not going to remain the same, folks.
They're not going to remain the
They're
same,
not
ladies and
going to
gentlemen,
remain the
and it's
same.
going to get more expensive, ladies and gentlemen, because
There are a
they're going
lot
to
of
take
things that
that
can happen.
cost for perpetuating Warner Brothers and pass it on to you, ladies and gentlemen. They're not going to
Yes,
pay that $1 billion
yes,
by themselves.
yeah. They're saying all the right things, mind you, but when we're talking about the other side of things with Paramount, I feel like it's not going to be much better because you're going to have a similar situation where there's going to be a lot of consolidating. A lot of times when you have companies merging like that, that's just the nature of the beast, that you're going to have positions that are going to become repetitive, and because of that, some jobs are going to be scrapped in order to make it more seamless of a transition between those two companies. It's an unfortunate part of it, but I feel like it's an unavoidable part of it. So while I feel like Netflix is saying all the right things, I feel like Paramount is being more forthcoming in what the reality is going to be. So I rather someone, while I don't like it, mind you, it's never, cool to have folks lose their jobs. I'd rather someone be transparent with me than try to act like, it's going to be one way when it's not going to be that way. And I just have a feeling that while temporarily right now they may keep things the way they are, if this does come to pass by third quarter of next year, that Netflix has acquired Warner Brothers and closed the deal, I can just see it down the line, if that comes to pass, that they could always change their mind and say, you know what? Nah, it's going to be exclusively on Netflix. We're going to make you guys exclusively, enjoy this series. We're going to exclusively make you enjoy this movie on Netflix just cause we can. So you guys may feel differently. Maybe you guys believe
No,
Netflix
I'm
and
gonna
what they're
tell you,
saying.
like I said last week, it's not just going to be exclusively on Netflix. It's going to be, you have to pay for a movie ticket level ticket to view this on Netflix. It won't
Okay.
just be that we're
Or
getting
what
your.
they'll do is, they'll do what Disney has done with Hulu, where they'll try to act like you're getting a deal with the package of Disney Plus and Hulu, and you're in essence paying more money. They're lowering the price on the two individual streamers, but overall you're paying more money because you're paying for two streamers simultaneously. So they may do that too.
Mhm.
When we're talking about what is it, Netflix and HBO Max.
Yes.
So, but what do you guys feel out there? How are you guys feeling about this? I feel like this Game of Thrones season that we've been having, or this Billions kind of season that we've been having, with the nature of what's been happening in this story of Warner Brothers being acquired, and the agreement there, and what can happen between now and next year. You guys can let us know down below. But with that, we're going to wrap up this edition of This Week in Pop Culture. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watched us live, and then also thank you guys that are watching us after the fact. But with that, I'm going to punt it over to Spills. Spills, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Ladies and gentlemen, much like Jack Frost, you can find me on Instagram, making it all chilly and cool, because that's what I am. I'm a cool kind of guy. So check me out there, and you can check out what we do with the show. Please like and subscribe and share it with your friends.
Indeed, indeed, and all of that stuff. Again, I'm your host, Brandon Choi, co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. You can find me at Brandon Choi ENT on X, and then Brandon Choi _ENT on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there, and see y'all soon. Peace.
Peace, ladies and gentlemen.